Good Wednesday morning. Rev here this morning. It is the 7th of September. I hope you're safe and well and blessed and ready to be a witness for Christ today. I'm going to read just one verse for you this morning out of Proverbs. This is Proverbs 14, verse 15. A simple man believes anything, but a prudent man gives thoughts to his steps. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Again, I'm coming to you today sharing from Dog Walk Talk by my friend Joe Miller. This book of devotions is, you can buy it online. And so I would encourage you to do that. It starts out today, it's entitled Critical Thinkers. It starts out with a quote by Lauren Oliver. It says, "I shiver thinking how easy it is to be totally wrong about people, to see one tiny part of them and confuse it for the whole, to see the cause and think it's the effect or vice versa." Unquote. Joe shares this. He says some folks are wired up such that their minds are they can just reach into depths that my mind, Joe says, or even my mind, ever reaches. Their uncanny ability to process information on the fly, effortlessly weed out fact from fiction, and come up with a correct and wise and godly bulletproof response or solution, it just is amazing. Joe says, I define these people as great critical thinkers. He says, it took me a while to realize that I can also be a critical thinker. But I realized that my critical thinking is not the same as the ones that I mentioned before. Maybe you share with me in a category where we would be more appropriately called worldly critical thinkers. Here's what Joe realized about critical thinking, how it works. And it all happened, and he said, in 5 short minutes. He says, as I always do, I was walking the dog one morning. It was early. And like most mornings, I was enjoying the calm and the tranquility of the walk until I saw the truck. I observed the flower boxes and heard the car horn, and each in close succession to the other, and each setting up opportunity for my kind of critical thinking. The truck with its loud muffler did a poor imitation of a California stop at the stop sign. He says, apologies to Californians, but I think they understand the critique. Flower boxes on the front windows of the neighbor's house were empty, void of flowers as they had been for the past 5 years. And as happens every day at 5:30 a.m., the same car sat out in front of another neighbor's house, repeatedly blasting the horn for the person who was to come out and ride with them. And so he says, with my brand of critical thinking coming to the fore, he said, I muttered some self-talk about the lousy driving and noise from the truck, about the laziness of the neighbor for having empty flower boxes, and about the blaring horn and the inability of the person in the house to be ready for his ride each day. Truck, flower boxes, and horn. All within 5 minutes, and all stirring my annoyance. But then as some critical thinking kicked in. He said, I laid into myself for being reactive about those things that one, he says, that I have no control over, and B, are really none of my business. In that moment, Joe says, I realized the frequency and the type of my critical thinking, and what a waste of time and effort that it is. I pondered how better that time could be if I used it to bask in the goodness of God and warmed myself with thoughts of the grace that he has heaped upon me. And then it hit me. I bet Jesus would never fret about trucks and flower boxes and horns if he walked my neighborhood today. He wouldn't always be too busy doing his work. And then he would always be too busy doing his work. And then the question came, why can't I do the same thing? Joe says that those examples show a flaw in his sense of godliness and holiness. I was able to see how if I truly want to be godly and I want to be a holy man, there is no room for that kind of worldly critical thinking of making myself better than others when in fact I'm not. So how about you? Are you a critical thinker? Which type? Because most of our thoughts remain in our heads where others are unaware of those thoughts. Does this give you free rein to be one of those worldly critical thinkers? How could you change? How could you change your reactive thinking? Most of us reactively think less than we may give ourselves credit for. We need to lean into the blessing and then give ourselves the freedom to change the thinking that we have become uncomfortable with. I'm Pastor Mark. Love you guys. Be safe, be well, be blessed, be strong. Go do something for Jesus. I'll see you tomorrow.